We're
I
live.
work in the morning as well.
We're up.
Yay, we're live. Welcome. Lindsay's uploading our link to Twitter. Most of you will most likely be joining in later tonight after Big Brother. We did an oops this week and forgot what time Big Brother airs live. Anyways, we're going to do a quick synopsis before the show starts. It might run into the beginning of the show, first few minutes, but we'll be breaking down what's happened in the previous week, which is essentially what Big Brother does in the first 5 minutes anyway. So let's get to it. So where we left off last week, we saw Michelle go home on Nicole's HOH. The next HOH, we also saw the 48 hours leading up to Michelle going home, where she was oblivious that she was going home. She was so comfortable that she just gave up. And as we see most times in Big Brother, when people get comfortable and think that they're staying, they end up going home. And that's exactly what happened. Not much to add there. The next comp was the lock HOH, right? And Nicole wins HOH. She makes a deal with James to keep him and Natalie safe. And that's like, it was a really, really tough HOH, that one for sure. And what else do I want to say about that HOH? I wasn't super happy Nicole won. And then later in the episode, we see that, am I still recapping Nicole's HOH? Yeah, I am. Sorry, guys.
You are?
Yeah, I'm going to keep going with it. I'm reading my notes. So after that HOH happens and Nicole goes home, we skip to, what do we skip to? Christmas in August? Yes?
Sure.
Lindsay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to Christmas in August.
We've missed a couple weeks because we've been busy.
I know. My notes are clearly not jiving tonight. Sorry.
Clearly, I'm on top of it too.
Sorry to anyone that's not tuning in. Or that's not tuning in, that is tuning in live, sorry. This is not usually how we go.
We're a mess. We got these new jazzy t-shirts and we're all over the place.
I know. I'm probably nervous because half of me is half hoping that Netta's tuning in because I tagged that we'd be wearing black and state. So I think I'm a little thrown off by the fact that we might actually get seen by Netta, and that makes me extremely nervous. So sorry to anyone tuning in and thinks that we're completely unorganized, because we're not. We are huge Big Brother super fans. So anyhow, Christmas in August, first veto win for Nicole. Yeah, so I guess we're just doing her HOH. We didn't recap that last week, Nicole's HOH win.
We didn't, no.
We didn't. So we're going back that far, guys. To her HOH win on the wall, and then she won veto at Christmas time with the counting competition. Except for it was really close. Like, Michelle had potential to win that, but she didn't. Nicole ended up winning it. I loved this competition mostly because I love Christmas, and it's a Big Brother classic where they count things in small form and then they have to adapt it to like the big form in the background. Nicole was super happy that she won this first veto win ever. And Victor, just like Victor, Paul, and Corey and Nicole made a Final Four alliance. And he's just totally blind faithing with these people. Like, Victor has some sort of blind faith that I've never seen before. He's all about loyalty, and
one can be all about loyalty when you've been voted back in the house 3 times. This kid has nothing to lose.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. But the fact that he's just throwing blind faith into Nicole and Corey when they haven't been working with him the whole game, I don't understand where that's coming from. But I guess like his only other option is the people that put him on the block the last time he got voted out. So
right.
So anyhow, long story short, Nicole keeps her nominations the same, and she keeps Meech on the block, who's her target, and Paul on the block as like a scapegoat, so that they don't think that they're working with Paul. Mm-hmm. And the Big Brother bribe that Corey received through the Gare package was essentially he could give $5,000 to anyone in the house if they followed through with the bribe, and he ended up giving it to Victor, who was already going to vote to keep Paul, and that was the bribe, to vote out Meech. What do you think about that? Do you think that was just ridiculous on the part of Corey, or what do you think about that?
I think that Corey's easily manipulated and he's going to do what people tell him to do. I think he was probably highly influenced by the people around him, and Meech was like, her head was on the chopping block anyway, so not surprised. If he wins this game, I'm going to question, like, at this point, I'm just frustrated with the whole situation. But, you know, everyone knows how negative I'm on this thing, and I'm not actually a negative person, but I just find poor Big Brother producers. That's all I'm saying, because this has been a rough season. It's been good, but it's just, like, predictable.
Yeah, it's been predictable, but in a way that the fans don't want to see. Like,
yeah, totally. That's the thing. That's the great thing about Big Brother. Like, especially like on the Canada side, like I love when like twists are thrown in and they're worked out so well. Like with like Phil and Nick, and they got in the house. Like you would think like a brother comp together, or a brother, a brother pairing. That would be my first choice to get those out. And they won the damn thing. Like that's when you watch Big Brother and you're like, yes, this is fantastic. But when it's so predictable, like Nicole gets in there, she meets a guy, she's happy with the guy, they get all the way to the end, she could win it. Like who cares? So
yeah,
I'm a little disappointed. I'm actually like way more proud of our Canada, like of our country, than America's choices of late. That's my, although the casting people are the same. So
I don't think this was a terrible cast. I just think that it's been dragged out too long this season.
Yeah, and the twists that they've tried to add to it are just womp womp, like every single time. And it's not their fault, right? Like if you have like really like, but if you had America vote somebody back in, we've talked about this a little bit, but if they had America vote people back in, Davon would have been there, and then it would have been shaken up into a completely different game, and like alliances and couples would have been broken down the middle. Like at least switch it up.
Yeah, I agree. Because really the competition that Victor ended up getting in was the wall comp that Nicole ended up winning. We didn't touch on that. And it was an endurance comp. It was mental and physical, really, because you were being like thrown in all these different positions for endurance, but at the same time, like you're getting jetted like cold water at you. Ugh. So we all know that Victor's good at friggin' physical and mental.
He sure is.
And in my opinion, if he hadn't got voted out a couple times, I think that he would be out like a worthy winner. It's just, I think that he, like, if he would have got to final two on getting voted back in, or not voted back in, one back in once, that would have been fine because he had a second chance. But a third chance, really, what is Big Brother coming to when there's like, you get a third chance? I don't know. I know it's the game and it's the twist that was presented.
Right.
However, I think a second chance is more than enough. Like,
more than enough. This kid's got a horseshoe up his ass, and he's not even actually playing the damn thing.
Well, he is. He's winning a lot, and he's winning competition.
He's strong. He's strong.
Yeah, but he just won. So moving forward, he just won the HOH competition, which was like manipulating an egg over. And it was like him and every single house guest, him, Natalie, Paul, and Corey, all four of them had like got their 2 letters down for HOH. And James was the only one that only got 1 letter down. And he ends up winning that. And that's not a physical competition. Moving an egg, that's very delicate. And then at the end, you have to be like calm enough to roll that egg and like have the perseverance to not rush it in a sense. Because I think that's where Natalie went wrong in the competition. She rushed the 1 egg and then it ended up getting crushed on her like plank that propelled it forward. And I think that was inhibiting her from getting that last H on that one side where the cracked egg was all there, because it was deterring the other eggs that she was rolling to get to where she wanted it to go. So I don't know. So I guess we'll just move into the next HOH. So Victor ends up winning that classic egg HOH that we see every season, where you manipulate the eggs all the way over. The thing about this one, it's the hardest egg competition I'd ever seen in Big Brother history, I think, because not only are they moving it over, but they have an eagle trying to crush their egg that they have to like thwart off.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, Lindsay missed this episode. But this eagle is crashing down on the top where they're moving their eggs. So they're having to like move it fast enough that it doesn't break or fall and that the eagle doesn't get it with their fingers. They can't protect it with their hand. And so once they get it down to the spot that normally you'd have an egg in the basket or whatever, as the old saying goes, they have to take like a plank and they have to like strategically roll it to hit down an H, an O, or an H, and all three have to get hit down. So it's not easy. So once you get the egg over, you're not there yet. You still have to hit these HOH down. It seems like a grueling competition because not only are you like being super patient, but then you get to the end of what you think is the end and it's not the end. So whoever designed and revamped that competition, kudos to them. It was awesome. It seemed really difficult compared, like I know that the normal egg competition isn't the easiest either,
Right.
but just all those extra elements, it just seemed extra difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And anyhow, Victor ends up winning this egg comp, and I was impressed.
That's good.
And then we move on because we're just moving forward. So Victor, he ends up nominating. Who do you think he nominated? Since you didn't see the episode, I know you know, but
I know. I think he would go after, obviously, because of the alliance he has with Corey and Nicole. There was no doubt. Like without even knowing, I was like, oh, he put up Natalie and James.
Yeah. So Natalie and James go on the block. James is pulling this whole like I'll fall on the sword for you, Natalie type feel. And then Natalie ends up, before the veto competition even happens, she goes up to the HOH room with Victor and Paul. And she goes on to throw James way under the bus and say, like, I'm so sorry, Victor, that I put you on the block during my HOH. It was my fault. I trusted the wrong person. I should have trusted you guys. I'm really sorry that you ended up getting voted out. So she basically told them that she shouldn't have trusted James. Then she leaves the HOH room. And I love Natalie. Don't get me wrong. If there's Natalie fans out there, I've been the biggest Natalie like lover since the beginning. However, she threw him under the bus hard, and like we hadn't even known the veto results yet, and she was throwing him under. So then she leaves the HOH room, and Victor and Paul are like, "Oh my God, if she can throw her number one under the HOH bus, how can we trust her? Like, why would we keep her?" When initially their target was James. So then it like switched to Natalie in that moment. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think
Like,
that. Sorry, go ahead.
do you think it was smart to be throwing James under the bus before you even know who wins the veto?
I think that, yeah, I don't think it was smart, but I think like it makes sense because I think they were nervous and they just had to do what they were going to do, and James is their target, so it's like may as well play your cards at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't you think? Like at this point, it's like there is no time to be like coy. Just be honest.
Yeah, but if she knew that James was the target, right? Why would you throw him under the bus if he's the target? You already know he's the target. You already know you're safe. So why would you even have that conversation? That was my thought.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I never thought of it that way.
And James told him that or told her that. And basically the whole house like kind of was under the impression they were going to get James out, except for Nicole, who was having like she had an emotional breakdown in the DR saying like, oh, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to vote James out.
Right.
So she was having a hard go at it. So I think she's probably happy that James has ended up staying.
So James is there. Okay, go ahead.
From feeds and what I've been catching up on, it looks like James is going. So anyway, they have this crazy, did you see the veto comp? We haven't talked about that before going live. The veto comp was the best by far, I think anyway. Tweet at us if you disagree, but I think it's the best.
Really?
In a while. It was MacGyver style. So they had to get out of 3 different rooms and they had to do it quickly. And the first person to play was Natalie, and she had a time of like 9 minutes, and then everybody after her had to beat that 9 minutes or the room exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only person that beat Natalie's time, ironically enough, to win the veto was Corey. I was shocked. Corey did it with 6 minutes and 30 seconds or something.
Oh, okay.
Everybody else up until Corey's point, and I think no, Corey was the second last to play, couldn't beat Natalie's time, and they were all shocked, and they all pretty much solidified in that moment that she is a threat in comps. And she's playing a better game than they all had realized because of throwing James under the bus. So I don't know. I And I know throwing people under the bus is an overused term, but she did, guys. And I was kind of disappointed in the gameplay of, I don't think I would have thrown my number one under the bus, even to stay in the house one more day, because the people aren't going to trust you if you're throwing your number one under the bus. Like, why would they trust you to like work with you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think she probably was just, at this point, she was scared she probably was going to get voted out. So she was like, I'll just try anything. And I thought for sure, without having seen this, that like Natalie would stay and James would go. So he's
Yeah.
a stronger player, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, James theoretically hasn't won any competitions this season, and I think that the MacGyver competition, because he's army and because of all of his training, was kind of geared towards him, like
Right.
the sticky situations, and he always like crawls around and like tries to be the ninja of the house.
Yeah, like maybe he's just like the fun guy, and they don't want to see him go. So
yeah, so I think the comp was kind of geared towards him. But it was funny how it ended up being Corey that won it, because I wouldn't have expected him to figure it out so quickly, because it was one of those competitions that you had to think really quickly on your feet and a limited amount of clues you were given. So leading up to spoilers, from what I read, Natalie is going home. There is a lot of sadness that I read as well going on Twitter that Natalie's going home. Do you think if she goes home tonight, as we speak, probably. Do you think she'll be America's favorite player?
No.
She'll be voted as America's favorite player?
No.
No?
No. I think Dave won.
Yeah?
Yep.
I think Natalie has a lot of love. I think she's a real contender. And
I just think that like Davon was so interesting, and I don't know, I just think she was like the more fun person to watch. Although Natalie was really good, like I liked her and stuff, but I think Davon, for me, I would vote 1,000 times over for her, and every gay man I know in Toronto would vote for Davon. So they all love her.
Yeah, Davon definitely would be one of the people I'd be voting for. If Paul doesn't win, he would be for sure my number one for this season.
Agreed. He's pretty great, but he might win this damn thing.
Yeah, I'm really rooting for him. I'm
Me
pulling
too.
for a Paul win.
Me too.
So moving forward, being that this is final five, who do you want to see win HOH this week? Because next week HOH is pretty important.
I mean, I guess for me, like strategically, in terms of our poll, I would like to see Corey or Nicole win it. I'm kind of over Victor. I guess he can't win because he's been HOH this week, so it's a lot on. But at this point, I think it might be interesting to see James win, just because I think, like, obviously he doesn't have anybody, so he can, like, shake it up and scare the shit out of people. But it's going to be one of those things, like, if anybody but James wins it, it's going to be, like, Corey and James, or, like, I don't think they're going to, or James might be forgotten, and if they go after the duos. I'm not sure.
And I know I've said this all season, but do you see Nicole being Brittany Haynes?
Oh, yes, 1,000 times over.
Yeah, because Corey has buddied up with Victor and Paul real quick. And even seeing in the diary room last episode, him saying, oh yeah, once we get Natalie out, James will be like right there. I'll be able to scoop him in, work with me, do what I want, kind of thing. In diary room, he was saying about James. So like, I can even see him just cutting Nicole, because spoiler alert, I just read on feeds that Nicole's telling Corey on feeds right now that she hasn't had her period in 80 days. And he's like not saying anything. He's probably sitting there shitting a brick.
Wait, 80 days? They haven't even been in the house 80 days.
I know. Imagine she's pregnant.
Oh, man. She's a real keeper, that one.
Anyhow, she says she hasn't been getting it because of stress, but I've never heard, like, okay, I'm not going to say I've never heard, because some people, their periods go way off with stress, but 80 days is a long freaking time. And anyways, on that note, anything else you want to add?
No, I'm Carrie. I'm going to go watch the show now.
Yeah, me too. So thanks to everybody that joined in before the show. And if you're still listening, who kept going with us for a few minutes into the show, see you next week. We'll be announcing the time on Twitter at some point in the next couple of days. Okay.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Bye.